this is Rob Chisholm, and we're going to talk about site assessment at High and Over. If there's any questions at the end, do post them on the page or your own development page within RTV. The way it works at High and Over, it sounds silly, but it's only 250 feet above sea level. Takes a wind direction of east-northeast to southeast. So let's just draw in some High and Over, shall we? Give you a rough idea. Now the hill's not exactly straight lines. That's the proportion. Now, if you're going to fly at High and Over in the winter, it's quite straightforwards. And at 250 feet, it's a short walk realistically from the bottom. You may even hear some people talk badly of the site and say how dangerous it is. A lot of it is just due to incorrect site assessment. So what I'll do is just put in areas like, simple things: southeast, east, northeast. I'll just explain very quickly some areas that people that they get wrong because of the incorrect site assessment. I hesitate there because it just seems so basically obvious and flawed why people get problems. So you might have somebody who would, for instance, take off on the southeast slope, and in doing so they might just take off and say go right, got the wind coming that way, well, that's what they think, and then they sort of fly around, and then all of a sudden about here they may end up in the bush. In fact, if you go in the bushes at High and Over, you're probably going to leave your glider there that night. So why would they end up in the bushes? Well, they've presumed the wind is on the hill, whereas in fact it's actually coming more south-southwest. So when it gets to there, it will be rotated into that area. When it comes through there, you're going to find it cleaner airflow, or clean enough for you to fly in that area there. So it's not in fact a southeast, it might be a south wind, and then you can get this turbulence. So that's one very, in my eyes, very simple sort of understanding of why people might. I've seen people basically take off and I think, well, what are you doing? The wind's not right. Equally, I've been here on a winter's day. You get something called a land breeze, and the air basically drops down from the north out to sea. So you've got a slope going out to sea, and the air's heavy, falls away. And by 8, 9 o'clock it might finish what it's doing, maybe a little later. And remember, High and Over is by the sea. The sea is just down there. So the sea is here. So what would you get wrong in this direction? Well, sometimes it can be northeast. And again, the wind comes along and it's sort of turbulent in this area because you're in rotor. So the winds might be light, but you're in rotor. So what can be done to just do this very simple thing called a site assessment to get the wind direction right? Well, it is really basic. Don't walk to the site. In the car park, which is about here, oops, in the car park, which is about here, sort of area, and then there's the main road going down there, down into Alfriston. You can walk over to here actually, and there's a big open field and there's nothing really in this area going to stop the wind. And you can use a compass, or you can use the sun, if you know where south is, to understand what the wind direction is. Because at the end of the day, any wind that's going to come through on this site is going to be affected. So if you think of water and it came in and bounced off and hit things, it would just be shaped by this area. It would shape and collect the air. So a simple misunderstanding of the actual wind direction or prevailing wind direction and you taking off. You could literally stand at takeoff, put a wind meter in the air and go, oh, it's 10 miles an hour. It feels on the hill. You might not use the word southeast. You might say it's straight on the hill, perfect. Whereas in fact the air's coming across there and you've got rotor. So you don't want to be in this area if you've misjudged the wind direction. So this is northeast, when in fact it needs to be east-northeast, but on the hill. It feels like it's on the hill because it's coming straight up in your face. It's been shaped by the hill, and a better place to do site assessment for wind direction is outside by the car park. Now it's just go through the car park to there's a gate here, you can go into the field and you can measure the wind direction. You'll get a better idea. Then you can go to your site, make your second site assessment. So what can you do with excuse me, with a hill like this? It's only, let's put it on. It's only 200. Oh, it's only 250 feet above mean sea level, so it's not very high. Well, quite often I've had thousands of feet out of this site. So why say Beachy Head takes southeast, doesn't it? Why can't I get thousands of feet at Beachy Head on the cliff? Why high and over? Well, there's lots of little factors really, but if we just put the River Ouse, it's called, just sort of whacking a river, sort of like that. It's something to actually think about. As one student said, he landed over here and he didn't know how to get out. Well, there's a bridge there, but if you land anywhere down here on this side, you'll be able to walk up a little path here. If you land anywhere over here, you have to make a long walk over a bridge, come back up here. It's not a long walk, but if you don't know the bridges there, you are going to be a little bit stuck. Now, why would that happen? Well, you've actually got sort of like this, I suppose, sort of shape. A forest. This is a forest, or Alfriston Forest, and all of that heats up. So you might actually go away from the ridge and try to catch thermals out here, not directly over the forest, but closer to it, which they'll kick off in the fields, and you may not get back. So you just need to know where to go. But if you're just flying around 250 feet later, you're pretty much going to be setting up a landing. But if you've glided all the way out to a thermal, and people have seen me go around in circles here for, I don't know, they claim forever, but it's probably three or 4 minutes just maintaining height below the ridge, but it's just wafty air, and then gradually I'll climb out. So it's unlikely anybody's going to join me, so don't do low 360s. But what I'm trying to explain is, out the front, if you have a flat area, you can do a low 360 within reason, as long as it's not windy. And you can always leave the thermal and land on your feet. But do bear in mind you've got water, you need to go over the bridge here, there's a bridge for walkers, etc., and you can come back up here. So what other areas would we have that would give us this sort of magic to the site, shall we say? Well, a couple of things. You've got all the sea you want that's down here, so you're going to get a sea breeze. effects, but not winter time, obviously. Now, the sea breeze, the way to look at it is what direction would the sea breeze be on that day when it comes in? What happens if it's southwest and you're flying around here in the morning and a sea breeze comes in? You think the wind's picked up. Actually, you come into topland, you'll get southwest, wouldn't you? Southwest is going to be coming over like that. Yeah? So you're going to have all of this is rotor. That's not a good call, is it? But how would you know if there's a sea breeze? Well, there's lots of things. It's predicted. People read it on apps. I just look out at sea, and you might see some white waves or crest of waves. The wind's picking up. You might see a boat, sailing boat that is, and its mast is up there. Towards 11 o'clock it might find it goes over, or kite surfers go by. There'll be some indication, but generally the air will be sort of moved around. So will the thermals. Any thermals hiding in the forest, they'll sort of be blown out. Any in the cornfield, they'll be blown out, and they're all going to come your way. So when they come your way, you will literally have an air mass which is like this. It's sort of sea breeze if you think of it like this. So this bit here, that's like a plough, snow plough or something. It just drives across the ground. It's at the ground level from the sea, going along the ground, pushing up. Any thermal that's hidden in here, it will push it up. It will just throw it up in the air, and it will come your way. So, do you think this site is suitable for ridge soaring? Is one of my thoughts. In the winter, yeah, it's great. You can you could take off, go down there, come back, go back, like that, in that direction. You wouldn't be able to fly here on this side if the direction was suitable for this side, because there would be no lift. And the same for this. You could quite happily fly up and down here in that direction, but you're not going to get any lift over here in this direction on that day. Now, just going in to take off here, it's quite important for you to understand this other area. We're going to call takeoff about there, to say there. There's hedges around here, so we'll go all the way up there really, and all the way down there. This area takeoff, so you sort of come through, look, prepare your gear, put your glider, and that's literally how much room there is, not a lot, but there's a step there, and that sort of looks like well, it's like this. There's the top takeoff, and then it drops down and then goes off like that. Now that's maybe 8 inches or so. So when you launch your glider here, all the airflow really is just sort of going over the top of the wing. It's difficult to get air in. When you turn around, you've got to take your feet from here and put them on there. That'll unload the wing. So I usually ask people to take off there to try and avoid that. Some people say, well, can we go to that side? And I say, with you know, the wind's coming this way, you go over here, you're going to launch your wing facing that way and then step off sideways. It's it won't work, will it? It's not really going to happen. And the same for this side. If it was that direction, southeast, you're not going to be able to launch here and step off sideways. You've got to be into wind. And going to the southeast takeoff, realistically, you probably got from there to there for top landing. Then there's a big slope here. This area is quite easy. Do I dare say easy? Is a big area to put your glider in, but it slopes away there. So by that, it just sort of slopes off like that. So when you come into land, the ground's always running away. So you have to be a little bit careful and thoughtful. There's also going to be the road at the back. So you launch your glider here, it's maybe 100 feet and you'd be in the road. So when you launch your glider here, we've got a fence there. It sometimes is up. You'll need to read Sight Guide. I've put some information up and a video, I think, how to bring it down. And you also need to put it back up when you leave. So the best place when you're flying here to land is probably down here. It's big, it's flat, and don't think about if there's water in the area at the bottom. Now there's plenty more I could go into, but I think that's enough for now on high and over. The most essential part of the site assessment is go beyond the car park to the field, take a true wind direction. You can go on the other side, watch out for traffic on the road. You can have a look there. But you don't want to be flying this site if it's in the wrong direction, because simply you will be in rotor, which is like there, the rotor coming from that direction, or it may even be coming off southwest, and you could be in rotor there, and that would be really foolish, because you could quite happily see someone flying up and down there. So they'd be going up and down there, then they go over here and they'll be in this area which is covered in rotor. But if there's any questions, I want you to post them and ask them, please, because at the end of the day we will be flying there under tuition.